Those of you who watch my videos know that there's been quite a bit of research over the years into how the Nile River may have facilitated the transport of the huge blocks used to build the pyramids. The Nile River's course is not the same now as it was during the Bronze Age, and various branches of it that would have run close to the Giza pyramids, amongst others, have dried up as well. There is also a lot of evidence that the valley temples at Giza were a harbour complex. Now, a team of researchers has gone a step further and proposed that ancient Egyptian engineers utilized water for more than transportation. They've put forward the hypothesis that the Pyramid of Djoser in Saqqara was built using hydraulic lift, and that many of the artificial features that make up the Djoser complex were designed for the management and treatment of water. The results of their study have been published in the journal PLOS ONE. This is a really fascinating idea, so stay with me and let me know what you think in the comments. The Step Pyramid of Djoser in Saqqara was built around 4,600 years ago and is the oldest of all the known pyramids in ancient Egypt. It is part of a vast mortuary complex and went through several modifications. As a forerunner to much larger pyramids, it still has monumental proportions, standing at 62.5 meters in height and measuring 121 by 109 meters. Over the years, many papers have been published proposing how the ancient Egyptians built the pyramids. A combination of manpower, ramps, cranes, and pivots have proved to be reasonable explanations, if not telling the full story. This new study analyzes the topography of Saqqara and man-made structures aside from the pyramid, which may provide evidence for hydraulic engineering. The Saqqara mortuary complex is located on a limestone plateau west of the Nile River and 180 kilometers south of the Mediterranean Sea. It currently sits in a desert landscape, but various research over the years has shown that the Sahara was much wetter 4,600 years ago when the pyramid was built, so it's possible there was much more water available in the area at the time. To the west of Saqqara, the Abu Sir Wadi drains the water falling on the hills there. In the past, quite a bit of research has been done on the Abu Sir Lake in the downstream part of the wadi, but little has been done on the upstream section. So the research team mapped these drainage networks west of Saqqara using satellite imagery and digital elevation models. They were able to identify a paleo drainage system upstream from what's known as the Gisr el-Mudir structure. The Gisr el-Mudir structure is a rectangular enclosure, the function of which is unknown. In the past, some experts have suggested it may even be older than the Step Pyramid, but more on that shortly. The paleo drainage system had not been identified before in modern research, but can be seen on historical maps and as imprints of surface paleo channels in the desert. Another possible water supply to Saqqara is the Wadi Tafla, a former tributary of the Nile River, which is just under 2 kilometers south of the plateau. This wadi comes from a 400 square kilometer drainage area and has 3 main branches. It's quite possible that an ancient channel may have connected the Abu Sir Wadi with the Wadi Tafla. A rather intriguing 18th century map says that the Wadi Tafla was closed by an ancient Egyptian king. Perhaps this refers to a man-made water diversion. If such a connection did exist, considering that Wadi Tafla's elevation is higher than the Abu Sir Wadi, then water from it would have reached Saqqara. The topography of the area reveals that the Abu Sir Wadi flowed through the Gisr el-Mudir structure, headed north to the Nile River floodplain, and then into the Abu Sir Lake. This means that the Gisr el-Mudir walls would have dammed the whole width of the river valley. Sparse vegetation present in the bottom of the valley upstream from Gisr el-Mudir but not found anywhere else also suggests it acted as a dam. This enclosure is just a few hundred meters west of the Step Pyramid and measures 360 by 620 meters. When it was excavated, nothing was found inside the enclosure except for a couple of more recent burials. The tallest remaining sections of the wall are 5 meters in height, but the structure was probably 10 meters high originally. In the paper, the researchers suggest that the most likely function of the western wall of this enclosure was as a dam. The wall is actually two outer walls made from roughly hewn limestone and positioned 15 meters apart. The inner space is filled with three layers composed of different materials. Its bottom layer is made up of limestone blocks. The secondary fill comprises medium and large limestone fragments and coarse sand, and the final layer is made up of small limestone fragments, fine sand, and silt. Essentially, the way it was constructed suggests it was a dam. The eastern wall of the enclosure is not of as high a quality as the western wall. A series of L-shaped megaliths were found in the southern section of it during a geophysics survey, and it wasn't clear what these could have been for. In the paper, the research team suggests that these megaliths were the side sections of water outlets that were closed off with wooden beams and then opened to drain the basin. Interestingly, the Gisr el-Mudir enclosure is contemporary with and similar in structure to the Sadd el-Kafara dam. It's also known that civil engineering was used in ancient Egypt to protect settlements from flooding, such as the construction of the Hayt el-Ghurab, or Wall of the Crow. Around the Djoser mortuary complex is a large excavated area that's often been referred to as the dry moat since it was first identified. Due to the accumulation of sand and debris, its exact geometry hasn't been determined. However, it measures approximately 3 kilometers by 50 meters and has a depth of around 20 meters. A deeper excavation known as the Deep Trench is found in the inner south channel of the dry moat. Over the years, experts have suggested several different functions for the Deep Trench, including that it was a quarry or that it played a spiritual role. However, there have been several counter-arguments to these ideas. In the paper, the researchers discuss how the inner south channel and its deep trench sit inside the Unas Valley, which is a hydrological corridor linking the Abusir Wadi plain with the Nile River floodplain. Therefore, they would perhaps have been subject to flooding, controlled or uncontrolled, from the Abusir Wadi plain. 3 huge subterranean compartments are connected by the deep trench and are joined to a tunnel. The bottom level of these compartments is in line with the southern and northern shafts of the Step Pyramid. This has led some researchers to suggest that the deep trench was originally part of Djoser's mortuary complex. 2 80-meter-long pipes oriented east to west also connect to the dry moat's eastern side, which suggests that this whole excavated area was designed as part of the complex. The authors of the paper think that the dry moat's southern section was a water treatment system, which included sedimentation, retention, and purification. The paper goes into a lot more detail on how that would have looked and how each compartment would have played a role in the system. Djoser's complex is made up of a 6-step pyramid that sits slightly off-center within a rectangular enclosure. It's made up of more than 2.3 million limestone blocks, with each one weighing on average 300 kilograms. It has at least 13 shafts, with twin shafts in the north and south of the complex that are connected by a 200-meter-long tunnel. A network of subterranean galleries sits 45 meters below the ground. The north shaft has 4 comb-shaped structures around it. 12 of the shafts are connected to the eastern section of the dry moat by 2 80-meter-long pipes. The north shaft is located mostly under the pyramid and is almost in alignment with the summit. 28 meters of it are underground. Each of its 4 sides are 7 meters in width until the last 6 meters underground, where they extend to 10 meters, creating a chamber. The upper part of the shaft extends 4 meters above ground level into the pyramid and culminates in a hemispherical vault. Its south shaft is 200 meters south of the north shaft and is close to the deep trench. Its layout and dimensions are similar to the north shaft. There are a series of deep niches on the south face of the south shaft that look a lot like the compartments in the deep trench, but it's not clear if they are connected. The twin shafts have 2 granite boxes, the purpose of which has long been debated. No mummies were found in either of them. Above the granite boxes, there are maneuvering chambers that would have enabled the plugs on the boxes to be lifted. Below the chamber's ceiling in the north shaft, a wooden beam was found that may have been used to lift the plug using ropes. Ropes were found in the south shaft that had traces of friction on them, so it's likely a wooden beam was situated in there originally as well. The granite blocks forming the ceiling of the box are bounded by mortar, which means the barrier between the shaft and the box is impermeable unless the plug is removed. In the paper, the authors suggest this to be a water outlet mechanism. This design would have allowed the north shaft to be filled with water from the deep trench in a controlled manner. To go a step further, this means that the north shaft would have been used along with a massive wooden float as a hydraulic lift mechanism to transport materials for the construction of the pyramid. This would mean the pyramid was built from the center outwards. Although a connection between the compartments and the shafts hasn't been found, it's possible that there was one. If the deep trench was a water treatment system, then the sediment-free water would then likely have been used for this hydraulic lift mechanism. It's still not clear what sort of water supply the area would have had. It may only have been seasonal. Further investigations of the plateau would help to clarify this. The authors of the paper don't think that the hydraulic lift was necessarily the only type of construction method used, but complemented others such as ramps. I personally think this is a very interesting hypothesis with a lot of evidence to support it. Of course, I'm not an expert on hydrology or hydraulics, and they are not easy subjects. However, this paper is pretty convincing. Of course, it does also raise quite a few questions. I would be interested to see these researchers do the same sort of investigation of other pyramids. Surely, if such water management systems and hydraulic lifts were used in the oldest one, they were used in later ones too. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. That's it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Thank you to my patrons and channel members for all of your support, and I'll see you next time.